Hello, you're watching the program Capital Ideas Life, and I'm the host, Mike Gibson. Today, we will tell you about the annual review of the Capital's Press, the Moscow Media Festival. All the main mass media of the city will gather here today. Our program and the TV channel Big Asia are also taking part in this important event. On today's program, the outcome of our program's presentation at the 21st Moscow Media Festival. The best media in the capital, a public showing of the Moscow Press gathered all the most interesting things to listen to, read and watch. The staff of the TV journal Big Asia became the primary organization of the Moscow Union of Journalists. The Moscow Press Festival. That's what this event used to be called. However, in 2023, the format of this festival changed. Now it involves not only print publications, but also digital media, online information platforms, bloggers, as well as television channels and TV programs. The new name of the Moscow Press Review is the Moscow Media Festival. In 2023, the annual festival will take place for the 21st time, with the participation of leading publications from Moscow and Russia. For many years now, the festival has been held on Poklonnaya Hill in Victory Park. Over the years of its existence, the festival has garnered great popularity, not only in the professional journalist community, but also amongst Muscovites and guests to Russia's capital.
My interest was drawn to the press, to newspapers, because I grew up among books and read a lot. The smell of a freshly printed newspaper has accompanied me my whole life, which is why it's great when you come and see such a riot of color, emotions, information. It overwhelms you with emotion. Despite such dreary weather, my professional interest brought me here. It was fascinating for me to look at my colleagues, the print media. There's Evening Moscow, for instance, Murzyilka, a magazine I've been familiar with since my childhood. My parents were subscribed to the magazine and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. We've actually already seen quite a lot. They've piled on us a lot of magazines and newspapers. I think we're going to read and take a look. I usually read the press on the internet, but I think it's good to come to an event such as this one here on occasion, because at the end of the day there are a lot of people here and it's interesting. It's interesting to listen to people and to chat.
This year, more than 60 media outlets from Moscow and Russia were represented on Poklonnaya Hill. For the first time, the festival was attended by newspapers and publishing houses that are members of the ARS Press, an organization uniting the leaders of the country's regional media.
Despite the unrelenting rain, this festival is still as popular as the previous ones. Even the bad weather hasn't stopped the public coming. All the adults and children can find activities to suit their interests here. There will be beauty bloggers and travel bloggers conducting masterclasses. Media personalities and TV channel presenters will host their masterclasses. Practicing doctors will be talking about how to prolong your health and improve your quality of life. And there are a lot of events and activities that the organizers have prepared together with the participants.
This year, the festival prepared a business and entertainment-filled program for its guests. For convenience, the huge square on Poklonnaya Hill was divided into thematic zones: business and technology, hobbies, children, sports and health, and books. Also, an emphasis was placed everywhere on live communication with representatives of the media, famous journalists and writers, as well as communication within the framework of various masterclasses. As is tradition, new book releases were also presented at the Media Festival.
A book is the materialized experience of humanity. It is human wisdom manifested on paper. And although there is now talk that the book's determined lifespan is until 2030, and then everything will go digital, it seems to me that the book, as an artifact accompanying humanity throughout its history, It will ultimately never disappear.
One of the capital's most famous publications, the Evening Moscow newspaper, celebrated its centenary this year as part of the Media Festival.
On December 6, 1923, the capital's residents received the first issue of Evening. It was a small publication, half the size of the Pravda newspaper format. Boris Volyn was appointed editor of Evening Moscow. His deputy was Mikhail Koltsov.
Throughout its long history, Evening Moscow has quickly and objectively talked about Muscovites' worries, about the life of the city, and about how the Russian capital is changing and developing.
Moscow has been and continues to be a legislator, the starting point of many initiatives, many undertakings. I can name many examples. That doesn't mean that nothing is done in the provinces. I myself am a deeply provincial person from the Far East. I love it. I go every year. I love my Khabarovsk and Vladivostok. But Moscow is somewhat of a new standard of life for a city dweller. Moscow is a huge metropolis, and I'm talking about construction, roads, interchanges, new digital platforms, and so on.
Today, Evening Moscow is one of the most authoritative and respected publications in the city. The newspaper is in the top 3 of the top 15 most cited media outlets in the Russian capital. The audience of Evening Moscow is more than 1 million people. The collective circulation of all publications and supplements of the newspaper is more than 2 million copies. On the newspaper's birthday, President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, congratulated the publication's staff and expressed gratitude to the journalists for their dedication to their work. Petrovka 38 is the main newspaper of the Moscow police and a regular participant at the press festival on Poklonaya Hill.
We try to inform citizens about the state of the fight against crime and how the Moscow police officers work. The columns about us are very diverse. The newspaper in general, somewhere in the mid-90s, it became a city newspaper, a socially significant newspaper. It was printed, sold and subscribed to throughout Moscow and the Moscow region, but it was printed across the entire Soviet Union.
Writer-publicist Vladimir Galaika devoted his entire life to the army and military journalism. Now a retiree, he continues to work as a correspondent for the newspaper Petrovka 38 and writes a column about the Moscow Criminal Investigation Department.
I'm in love with the CID. I fell in love in my old age. This is very much a reporter's job. Those people, how they devote themselves to this job. They just don't exist anymore. They simply love it. They don't really have anything other than this job. And I mean that in terms of the kinds of cases that they solve.
This year, the newspaper Petrovka 38 turned 100 years old. At the Media Festival, the publication was represented by a large delegation comprised not only of journalists, but also representatives of the capital's law enforcement agencies.
Right? Go!
This year, for the first time, not only print publications, but also television channels and online platforms are taking part in the Moscow Media Festival. A presentation of our program took place in the speakers block for digital representatives located in the Business and Technology tent and one of the forum's central venues. Despite the cloudy and rainy weather, not only ordinary festival visitors, but also colleagues from other publications, as well as employees of the Big Asia TV channel, came to listen to the speeches given by representatives of the program Capital Ideas Life. During an hour-long presentation, Anna Salnikova, Deputy General Director of Big Asia TV channel and Big Asia website, spoke about the history behind the creation and development of the program, along with Alavtin Sukholutsky, producer and head of program Capital Ideas Life. I was unable to attend the festival, but recorded an emotional message for the presentation's audience. It is a huge honor and privilege to meet so many wonderful people while filming our program. And it's a great privilege to work with such a great team, both at Big Asia and on our program. Many thanks to them. And of course, many thanks to all of you, our viewers who watch our program, Capital Ideas Life. Because Moscow is truly the best city on earth. Our program was first shown on the Big Asia TV channel in November 2018. At the moment, 5 seasons have already been released, and the 6th is currently airing. A total of 73 episodes have been filmed. If you set yourself the goal of watching all our programs from the 1st to the 73rd, it requires almost 32 hours of continuous viewing. Over the 6 years of operation, our film crews, together with me, have visited many interesting and, without exaggeration, unique places in Moscow. And naturally, we have told you, our viewers, about them all. We've ventured underground to see how the Moscow metro is being built and how the capital's communication systems function. We've ascended above the city to make sure that it is reliably protected. We've swum in icy water to check out how the bravest Muscovites enjoy their relaxation time. That's extreme. And we've bathed in boiling water to learn everything about country getaways. It's very hot here. It was a huge shock at first, but it's fine now. I've entered a cage with wild animals almost without being afraid. And I've tried all sorts of cosmetic procedures on myself so that city residents know how they work. We've visited the capital's main temples and mosques and practiced martial arts. I've played badminton with the Indonesian ambassador, but there wasn't any chance of winning. I've sung along with the ambassador of the Philippines.
Listening to the wind of change.
Yes. And danced together with Muscovites and guests to the capital.
Excellent, you've opened up. Now twist. That's it. Yay. He's officially a dancer.
I've cleaned the central streets of the city during record snowfalls and simply hung upside down at the best Moscow summer festivals. And all of this has been to show you, not in words, but in actions, that Moscow truly is the best city on earth.
You'll be great. You ready? Mike, you ready?
Okay.
You ready?
I am.
Action.
The Luzhniki Sports Complex has become one of the main venues for City Day. The presentation of our program, which took place as part of the media festival, demonstrated the importance of interaction between the Moscow government and the media. The city leadership has done a tremendous and successful job of developing Russia's capital and transforming it into a world leader in several categories: convenience, quality of life, digitalization, and improvement of transport infrastructure. And the program Capital Ideas Life will continue to tell our viewers about this work.
I am very pleased with today. Also with our guys, the team that took part in the filming of this program. And we hope that next year we'll take a more active part in the events that have also been prepared, including those by the Moscow Union of Journalists. This is also very important. We have our own stage. We're a primary organization, that's the correct term. And we have already spoken at this event as an independent primary organization of the Moscow Union of Journalists. In other words, this is a doubly significant event for us. And in general, it is a holiday, even despite the bad weather.
With the development of technology, the media has gained new channels of interaction with its readers. Now, any print publication or radio and television channel develops its internet portals, podcasts, and pages on social networks, all in parallel. Bloggers post and stream simultaneously on multiple platforms. Books are published both on paper and in digital text and audio formats. When communication with different audiences, press representatives combines styles and methods of communication, and today it is not uncommon for a particular publication to use more than one or even two channels of communication with its audience. That is why in 2023, the 21st Moscow Press Festival became the Moscow Media Festival. The annual Press Festival is held with the support of the Department for Media and Advertising of the city of Moscow and the capital's Union of Journalists. This public organization was created in June 1990 and unites media workers operating in the Russian capital. The first secretary of the Moscow Union of Journalists is Lyudmila Sherbina. For many years, she's been one of the leaders of this organization. In the professional community, she is called the fairy godmother of Moscow's journalism. For many years, Lyudmila Sherbina has been helping the capital's media in their work and also set high standards for the Moscow press. Many of the organization's projects were created on her initiative and with her direct support. One of them is the Bastion courses. This is an educational and practical program for special training of journalists working in hotspots.
We started these courses in 2005. There have already been 24 rounds of our courses, in which more than 1,000 journalists have studied. More than 1,000 journalists, that is, from different regions of our country, starting from Kaliningrad and ending all the way with Vladivostok. Now, the main task here is that we set for our Bastionites. What we want to do is to help them. We want to teach them how to save their lives in extreme situations. And the second task, we want to teach them how not to interfere with the military in carrying out their duties. Now, I think we are successfully accomplishing these two tasks.
Today, more than 15,000 people are members of the Moscow Union of Journalists, and every year the ranks of the organization are replenished with new specialists. Today, members of the TV channel Big Asia, on which our program is broadcast, will receive their membership of the Moscow Union of Journalists. I will also get my membership too. After the debut of the TV channel and our program at the Media Festival, the entry of its employees into the Moscow Union of Journalists became another important event in the life of Big Asia.
This is truly such a big event, because for an entire organization to enter all at once, well, we haven't had such an event like this in recent years.
Lyudmila Sherbina came to the Big Asia office to personally present journalist credentials to our colleagues from the TV channel.
You are embarking in a new, very fascinating direction, which is now interesting not only to journalists, but the whole country. We are also turning our gaze to the East, and therefore your organization, which came to us and said it was joining our ranks, it is now our common concern, a common aspiration. And I truly think that the two of us together can do very interesting things. The first pass is awarded to Alexander Lebedev. Congratulations. Nowadays, it is very important that we meet each other halfway. I am absolutely certain that our organization, which today joined the Moscow Union of Journalists, will be a driver, a journalistic driver, of a turn to the East. And in December, during the Congress session, we want to announce a new agenda in journalism and form a Moscow East bridge, so to speak. Now, this isn't only with regards to China. Now, here we are working with 49 countries of Asia, and there are also journalist unions everywhere.
On this day, the staff of the Big Asia TV channel, almost all its members, joined the ranks of the Moscow Union of Journalists.
For me, joining the Moscow Union of Journalists is a great honor, as this is the next step in my professional development. I've been in journalism for more than 15 years, and this has probably been a small triumph of mine over the years. Our entire television team has joined the Moscow Union of Journalists, and I want us to continue to bring truthful and positive information to our viewers. And ultimately, I would like the world to become a little better, a little kinder. I am overwhelmed with pride and excitement because it truly is a great honor to become a member of the Journalists' Union. Now, this is not only a proud title, but it is also a huge responsibility. First and foremost, joining the Moscow Union of Journalists allows us to strengthen communication with other media outlets, other newspapers, magazines and TV entities. And we watch how they work, they watch how we work, and ultimately, this is what's best for our audience. Because we will make more interesting projects, we will have new ideas from communicating with other journalists.
After the presentation ceremony of journalist accreditation, representatives of Big Asia, led by CEO Alexander Lebedev, gave the first secretary of the Moscow Union of Journalists, Lyudmila Sherbina, a short tour of the TV channel building. One of the central venues of the Moscow Media Festival was intended for young guests to the forum. Creative and educational masterclasses were held throughout the day, especially for them in the children cluster. Meanwhile, budding correspondents received their first real journalist press passes in the Pioneers Pravda newspaper tent.
This is a very great honor because you understand that people, well, they value your work. They like that you try to make people happy. We are trying to make sure that today's teenagers are erudite, literate, and can distinguish the truth from lies, fakes from real information. And this is very important because the information field is very clogged. And for a teenager, especially, it can be very difficult to decide on anything. And then to learn, to understand, to evaluate, to understand what is happening. The newspaper enables this. I am very glad that there are a lot of these people in our country, and I'm incredibly glad that these are the kind of children who came to our festival today.
One of the festival participants, the famous Russian writer Oleg Roy, held a masterclass at the forum From an Idea to a Book, a Toy, an Animation. Many of his projects are addressed to children.
Today, and in today's world realities, there is nothing more important than the formation of our younger generation. And we need to start that from scratch. Because literature is the biggest toolkit for the Russian state. And we need to take this very seriously. Today, children need to be shown the history of their native country, its heroes. Talk about its greatness, about the greatness of the Russian language, about the greatness of nature. This is a large fundamental work, which my project, Russia, the Country of Happiness, is dedicated to. And within this project, we are creating the ABCs to obtaining a country of happiness.
At the festival in the sports and health zone, specialists in proper nutrition and a healthy lifestyle told forum guests about ways to prolong youth and maintain a positive mood. The main trends in the media field were also discussed at the media festival: the maximum use of video content, further development of mobile journalism, and artificial intelligence.
Now all media formats are developing online. To say that any newspaper remains only in paper is wrong. We have a website, a Telegram channel, or for more than one. The development of electronic journalism has had, let's say, a great influence on the media in the sense that not only the most important and crucial stories go to print. So this is no longer news. The newspaper ceases to be news as such. Everything that goes in there has already been analyzed, disassembled, and has shown how it will impact people's lives. Reports, including analytics, investigations, paper remains for these purposes.
The list of events at the Moscow Media Festival include not only a business and education-filled program, but also a spot of entertainment. Famous groups and popular performers from the capital played on the stage by the Victory Monument on Poklonnya Hill late into the evening. Despite the rainy weather, the Moscow Media Festival was successful and ended on a positive note. The capital's press service has once again demonstrated that it forms the information agenda not only of the city, but for all of Russia. And I'm very happy that our program contributes to this important work. I'm Mike Gibson. You're watching the program Capital Ideas live on the TV channel Big Asia. See you in our next broadcast. Bye.